Welcome to #Adulting, your one-stop shop to help you get your shit together in the 4 areas of life plaguing you most.
Food and fitness,
sex and dating,
mental and emotional health,
and money and business management. I'm Zack Peter, the sassy self-improvement addict, wellness enthusiast, and host, spewing all those burning questions you're too afraid to ask.
I'm Abigail Fraher, a boss babe who daylights as a lifestyle guru and fashion maven.
And I'm Nikki Sharp, your go-to wellness expert, best-selling author, motivational speaker, and all-around fitness fanatic. Together, we're helping you truly live your best life because this is adulting at its finest.
I love your song, guys. Oh my God.
Welcome back to #Adulting, everybody. I'm Zack Peter, and with me as always...
It's me, Abigail Fraher.
Oh, hi. I didn't know you were going to be here today. When did you get here? Oh, my God. I'm so excited because today's guest is a very funny podcast host and comedian. She's a little crass, but God, do we love her sass. Her brows are perfection, and her show, Health is Hell, is my new obsession. Please welcome the always unfiltered Ali Weiss.
Hello.
Oh, hey, boo.
What's going on?
How are you?
I love that you
His
just like jumped right to it.
Are like the best
No.
intros. Like I say that on every episode, but like that's like his like trademark.
No,
I
dude,
think.
you could be like a really amazing sports announcer.
Oh.
Like that also very like, I don't know, maybe not the expected choice, but like you have a talent.
You know, I've never been told that before.
Well, that's what I'm here for,
first
to
time.
expand your mind.
But I'm so shocked because I feel like when people look at me, like the first thing they think is like football.
yeah,
Probably
Oh,
because I've
100%.
slept with half the
Obviously.
team.
That's
Wait,
why.
so they
There
look
we
at you
go.
and they think the sport, or do they think the actual ball? Right, like
Because I'm
which
just used to
one?
getting kicked
just
around by
thrown around.
big rugby men.
That's so hot. Oh my God.
No, it's funny. So we normally kick off the show with a fun segment called Espresso Yourself.
Oh, that's dangerous. Me caffeinated or even associated with caffeine. My therapist told me to quit that a long time ago.
You don't
Did
do
you?
caffeine?
I don't do coffee anymore.
Why?
I do matcha. I method act that my matcha is
Oh, I thought
coffee
you
and
said you
pretend
do
that I like
meth
it.
now.
Oh, I do
Yeah,
meth
I was
now.
like, oh, we switched
You
from
guys,
caffeine to meth.
No more
Good,
coffee.
good.
I discovered this amazing new thing. It's called meth. No, coffee was making me like insanely manic, and like I loved it so much that I was like, fuck that. Like I don't have to give it up, and kept drinking it. But like it was really bad for my ADHD, like really bad.
Yeah.
So finally, I was just like, okay, do I want to like maintain my friendships or
Right,
like
right,
taste
right,
coffee
right.
every day? So I figured out how to give it up. It was tough. I still like scratch myself thinking about it. But you know, matcha like eventually grows on you, kind of, especially if you put enough sugar in it. So that's my new caffeine go-to. But it's definitely not as fun.
Have you tried mushroom matcha?
What the fuck is that? I don't know anything you guys are talking about.
Mushroom, we're talking about Target's
Target's
Bratan's
and mushroom
Bratan's
matcha.
There are adaptogenic mushrooms. Are you familiar with those?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
they're adaptogenic mushrooms that they mix into a powder with matcha, and then they're like little packets that you carry with you like a condom.
Yeah.
And you just like drink matcha on the go, and it has like all these adaptogens, so it like sets your brain on fire.
So like, do adaptogens like make me glow? What are they supposed to do?
Depends on which ones you get. Some make you glow, and some like turn your brain on. Some like turn your lady parts on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there one that does all of that? I just want to like glow.
You're
from
just
You
gonna
can
be
get a
like
blend.
mixing. You'll be mixing.
I want
like
all of me to
3
just be like
them.
moist and activated.
Moist and
everywhere.
activated. Throw a little,
Activated.
throw a little Chisandra berry and some rhodiola. I
You know
love
too
it.
much.
I
Both
do
of us
know
are
too
looking
much.
at you like, huh?
Too much
what?
for
We're like,
my
yeah,
own good.
rhodiola.
I'm impressed.
Right? I feel like we don't even need an icebreaker with you, but we're gonna do it because
Okay.
that's what we do. you
Okay,
know?
cool. I love
so
an icebreaker.
you're just gonna finish sentences for me.
Okay, got it. Can I just say whatever's on my mind?
Exa-
Am I allowed to
That's what
curse
we're
on this show?
hoping.
Because I already
Yes,
did.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's too late for that. Yes, we'll put a 15 plus on this episode. Thanks. So, question or sentence 1: I can't start my day without.
I guess matcha. What a depressing answer. I became that person that I
did.
hate. But
Well,
yeah,
mo-
matcha.
Most people say like
Coffee.
snuggles from my dog.
Or
Well,
like
at the moment, I don't have a dog, a man, or like, you know, a particularly rosy outlook on life. So I just wake up and like drink my matcha,
Matcha.
and you know, we just get it rolling. We do what we need to do to leave
You're
the
like,
house.
You're like an old Japanese woman. I
yeah,
love it.
or an old Jewish woman, a
Yeah.
crabby old Jewish woman. I'm way ahead of my
way
time.
ahead. I feel sexiest when.
Mm. Oh, again, being like a white girl
When I
LA
drink my
stereotype.
matcha.
When I drink my matcha, no, not even. But no, when I've been really good about exercising and like I feel like things don't jiggle in a way that's like offensive, you know, I really.
Can you draw that line for me? What's offensive jiggling?
Okay, so like, you know, all legs move. If you're like a
Right.
curvy gal, you like take a step and there's
Yeah.
gonna like be a little bit of a jiggle, but
Yeah.
like, you know, you count the seconds that you jiggle, and if it jiggles,
If it's more than 3, you got
yeah, if it's more than 3, I'm like, this is not good.
If
So
there's an aftershock, then
exactly,
we have
if
to
the
check
room
it.
vibrates when you walk, which like, you know, I have a thick lower body. It happens sometimes. Winter weight, but when I'm really good about exercise and everything is kind of less shaky than normal, I tend to walk around naked a lot.
You just
so
feel you might not even look different.
no, but you
It's just this
feel
feeling.
better
Yeah,
in your
for sure,
body.
for sure.
Yeah. So I think I feel sexiest when the fitness is on, and then I'm walking around naked a lot, and then I'm like confident in myself, and then yeah, the exhibitionism is in full force.
I like that. We'll talk
what a
about that more
vibe.
later.
Oh, both of you, okay.
When I go to the gym,
Complain.
are you do you take selfies at the gym?
Ew, no. I look so ugly at the gym. No one wants to see that.
There's, like,
No
the-
shirtless selfies in the mirror?
no tit pics in the locker room.
What's
no.
your like go-to workout in the gym? Are you, like, a cardio, weights?
I'm somebody who like I'm not really into like daily exercise, and like I'm not ritualistic about it.
Okay.
Like I literally just exercise in order to be able to eat what I want without my thighs jiggling for 3 seconds. And
Okay.
I don't think that's like an unhealthy way to look
No,
at it. Like
no.
food brings me joy, and like I don't want to have to give any of it up. So I do this stuff that's really masochistic. I do like bar classes, which
Okay.
Oh.
you think about bar and you're like, oh, that's for like poncy like white engaged women, but it's so
It's
hard.
like, do you ever like shake and you're like
Oh, do
standing
do
on
I
it
ever
and you're
shake?
like,
I
"What
collapse
the
like
fuck is
every time.
happening?"
I
Yeah.
curse, I collapse, I complain, I sweat. It is not pretty. But you do a couple of those and you're like, I'm looking pretty
Pretty good.
snatched, despite the fact that I've been binge eating a lot lately.
Oh my god.
what is your go-to bar place? Is
In
it's,
New
like,
York,
smaller, or is
Physique
it
57
okay.
is the one that I've been going to in New York for a long time. And actually, when I first left college, I gained a lot of weight in college. I did Physique and I lost 30 pounds. And I didn't even really like diet intensely. Like obviously I wasn't
Yeah.
drinking as much. I wasn't like, you know, eating at weird hours as
Yeah.
much. But Physique 57, like it's so hard. It's the hardest bar class I've ever taken, but it's also hands down the most effective.
And were you doing it like every day? Or?
Like 4 times a
I'm
week?
like taking notes now. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
4 times a week, 5 times a week.
Okay.
And like, I'll show you pictures when we're done recording of what I looked like when I was really, really into it. I was like, I took up like negative space. I was so small and like still had my
Yeah,
body, just
yeah.
like someone took
Minimized,
me and
yeah.
smushed me
Like
to be
on,
more narrow.
Facetune.
Yeah,
When you just like
exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
Should
All
end.
Yeah.
right. I feel most like a boss when
When I'm working, I love my job.
Good.
My life is my job. I have become my job.
I love that too. That like, well, that's a millennial thing too, I think. But
What?
that your life
Love
is
job?
your job.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Or that the two can mesh well together. Not like, oh, I'm not working today, so you can't ask me this.
There's
or,
nothing more
yeah.
obnoxious than like I see people that I went to high school with, and they're just like, I can't wait for Friday when I'm off work and I
Yeah.
get to celebrate the weekend.
living for the weekend.
And
I'm
then like
just
black
like-
out and not remember what you did. And then
Yeah.
go back to
Yeah,
work
and I'm just
Monday.
like,
yeah.
oh,
yeah, it's morbid.
Right.
I
Like,
mean,
why not black out on a Tuesday night?
well,
you know?
which I do.
thank you.
creative. What's your
Right.
skills?
We'll go to a Bumble.
Oh my God, no
and get lit on
problem.
margarita.
Yeah, my work-life balance is like probably not the best. Like I think I
Okay.
do need to be better about like
Okay.
incorporating downtime, but you know, it's amazing that I can make a living off like expressing my opinions.
Right.
And like I'm so happy that I've worked so hard for so long to get that, and now I have it. And so like when I go to work every day, I'm like, fuck yeah, like I've arrived. You know, it's like a mini cotillion every morning when I go into the studio.
That's the best way I've ever heard of it. But, all right, mini cotillion. I love that.
So the annoying question: what would you say that your job is? Like, how would you define? How would you put it on your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah. Well, I deleted my LinkedIn recently because I was like, why do I have this? And also, like, people that I blocked on other platforms were like,
Will find you on
finding me on
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. That was a real problem.
Why?
Like an
Um,
ex or coworkers? Or
Exes, I have never really
Everyone?
had like traditional coworkers, but like
okay.
exes, but also like creepy people, like fans. Like I hate to
Yeah.
use the F word, but like fans would like,
Yeah.
you know, find me. And it's like, I don't mind if they like find me on Facebook and like send messages, you know, but like LinkedIn, I'm like,
it's a little weird.
you don't need to be looking at my
Yeah.
resume saying? Like what clubs I was in high school when you're like sending me like pieces of, you know, not even fan mail, just like weird messages. Yeah, on LinkedIn. Wow, someone's really going to hell if they do that. They've really dissociated if that happens. Oh my God. So no, for a long time I didn't really know either. I have like a traditional acting background. I went to theater school. I always thought that I was just gonna leave that, go get an agent, and like try to be on the CW or some shit. But then, you know, that was right around the time where there was this demand to create your own content. And I wasn't trained for that. Like when you go to theater school, you're trained to know your type and how to audition and like how to get an agent. I didn't know how to use iMovie or like Final Cut or like even how I would want to present myself online. So I kind of experimented with a bunch of different things. First, I was like a food blogger when that was cool. And then I was, you know, doing more of like the traditional like modeling thing and like beauty products. And then I was really into contemporary art. And then finally, years later, I landed in this position where I was like, okay, I know concretely that I want to be a comedian, but I also know that like I'm fucked in the head and like wellness is a very popular topic right now. Sure. So why don't we make wellness the topic of my comedy rather than being another aspiring comedian talking about like how dysfunctional their family is or like, you know, how the boys stress me out because like, duh.
Right.
You know? Right. So it's become this kind of like cool niche where I'm still not totally definable, but I call myself like half comedian and half like investigative journalist because most of what I do is interview based instead of just standing around talking to myself.
So what is your take on wellness though? So are you like trying to parody wellness? Are you like making fun of wellness? Like what is...
I am definitely a believer in self-care and like I've been in therapy almost my entire life. And, you know, I'm such a believer in like you need to face your demons. You need to tackle them. You need to figure out what's going to help you get out of bed in the morning. It's still a struggle for me. But the fact that there is now this one concrete definition of what wellness is, like you need to spend $25 at Moon Juice and you need to salute the sun every morning and you need to be keto, paleo, vegan, that like, you know, everyone has decided that there's one definition of what's right and one definition of what's wrong. But like, I'll tell you that I feel the happiest and the most like content with being alive when I've just eaten like a huge bowl of pasta and I'm like having a cigarette after dinner. Is that healthy? No, but like it brings me joy. Right. And I know for a fact that anybody who's on a juice cleanse is experiencing no joy.
No.
You know, if they think they're happy with it, they're hallucinating, which is actually a side effect of doing a juice cleanse. So I think that, you know, for me, it's not so much that I don't believe in wellness, because I do, but I think that we've lost sight of what wellness is supposed to be, which is like helping individuals get in touch with what makes them feel alive.
Right.
We get so stressed about having to like eat the perfect
and the health
food.
Wellness and then the emotional wellness is so dissociated.
Or we focus so much on just the food and the fitness, and we don't talk about like mental health or emotional health. And like maybe stalking your ex on Instagram is not healthy for you. Like let's block his ass.
But you're eating like kale while you're doing it.
But you're eating kale while you're doing it and going to Equinox. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's like marketing, like everything is capitalism. Everything is capitalism. Sorry to be that person, but like everything is capitalism. So it's like we have been engineered to believe that like buying $25 goji berries is going to fill our existential voids. Right. Nope. Truly, the same way that now it's kind of moved a little bit away from food and it's skincare. We are convinced that having a 25-step skincare routine is going to make us wake up in the morning and be okay with the fact that like we thought we'd be married at this time. We thought we'd have a different job. We thought that our families would be more functional. Like as long as we have perfect skin, it doesn't matter. And it's like, oh my God, all these people who are buying all those products are the same people who are saying they can't afford therapy. But hello, if you didn't buy all those products,
you'd be in therapy. Exactly.
It's really screwed up.
Yeah, which is you also have to have like a financial fitness as well. Like it's just like so much more than any one of these pillars, and we focus on one of them at a time. Yeah. Like I try to merge them. I'm like, you know what? I tell guys like I can't eat your dick unless it's organic. Unless it's USDA certified, because I'm trying to like watch my soul.
You should make them put a little sticker on it.
To watch my soul.
Oh my God, honestly, I'm adopting that. Every time I meet a new guy now, I'm gonna be like, so listen, tell me, like, what cut of beef is down there? Are we talking Kobe? Are we organic or are we just free range?
Is it paleo friendly?
Are you grass fed?
Do you feel like too interviewing people that have different food, like you said you were going to be interviewing people who are vegan, have a vegan blog. I feel like whoever you talk to thinks that what they're doing is best, and it's very rare that you find someone who's like, hey, this is what I choose, but like that might not be the best thing for everybody.
Yeah.
Like everyone, like CrossFitters.
Yeah.
Like, do
Neutrality
CrossFit.
like doesn't really exist on
anymore,
Instagram, but
yeah.
also part of that is the Instagram system where we all feel this quiet pressure of like we need to be one thing. I know I struggle with this, that it's like, okay, I'm a comedian, so like I should only be posting shit that's funny, but like what if I wake up and like I'm sad? But also the funny conversations that I'm having with people on my show are like making it easier to talk about really poignant shit and how like much we're all struggling. So yeah, I mean, I enjoy talking to people who have differing views than me because like I like getting kicked around a little. But it's not always the easiest to be talking to people who are like so set in their ways. And usually when that happens, I just like make jokes or like say stuff that's crass, as you say, and offensive, because it's actually like a really good way of like making them realize we're humans. Like it's okay that we don't see eye to eye on everything, because like hopefully we can share a laugh.
Right.
And people are like so afraid of having conversations with people that don't agree with them, and it's like
So
that's it's healthy to do that.
Yeah.
And like you learn so much more about your own argument by talking to somebody that doesn't agree with you. You know, and you have to be open to like changing your point of view, because experience and time and exposure change all of that.
Well, cancel culture is like a really big problem.
Have you ever been canceled yet?
No one has
Not
canceled
yet.
me, which is miraculous. I don't know how people have talked plenty of shit on me on the internet, but like no one has like fully canceled me. But I just think that it's like, look, it's one thing if somebody is a rapist or is like a pedophile, like that person should be canceled from the public eye and put into a rehab center or put into a hospital, you know, like they need help. But the fact that all of us are on Twitter like canceling somebody who just like slips up because they're human or has like a differing view from the way that we see things, we are so quick to say this person's irrelevant. Like it really bothers me that we have lost sight as like a human community of the fact that we are all meant to be individuals. If we, if all three of us were the same person, why would we want to sit here and talk to each other? That would be no fun. You could just go home and talk into a mirror, and it's like less sweaty, no lights.
I actually enjoyed that. That's how I start my mornings.
Talking to yourself in the mirror. It's
I'm
an
just like,
underrated
you're
activity.
so pretty.
You should. That's
how I
self-care. See, forget a green juice.
Right.
That's self-care.
Talk to yourself.
You know.
What would you say is like your number one like focus of self-care at the moment? Like, is it your fitness? Is it your body? Is it going to therapy?
I would say fitness.
Fitness.
Yeah, I'm like, there's just something about starting my day at the gym. It just makes, like, I'm nicer.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's true.
And I'm very much like, I'm all in or I'm all out. Like with everything in life, like I have a 0 or 100. Like there is no, and I'm really trying to be balanced more with things. Cause like if I'm focusing on one thing, then like the other thing's completely going to shit. Like I finally organized my closet after like 3 weeks of being like, the closet needs to be organized. Like, what do you do? But you know what I mean? So, but I would say fitness probably right now, just because I gained some weight and I'm trying to get it off.
Yeah, but it's also like whatever, you know, like if you're lucky enough to have identified something that makes you happy every day, roll with it. I mean, so long as it's not shooting up.
Well,
you know?
Yeah.
Aside from the math that you were doing,
right? Exactly.
You know?
Aside from my bad habit, which I would encourage nobody else to have. Like it's so hard. The world is so dismal right now. Like it's hard to find things that make us happy. So if you have realized that waking up early and going to the gym and lifting weights or running or whatever it is makes you happy, like by all means do it.
Right.
Do it.
If not for any other reason than sanity. Like, I mean.
Right. That's all
People
very
appreciate me
difficult.
better,
Sanity is not something I'm particularly familiar with. And I've just you've figured out how to lean into it rather than lean out, you know, which is part of the reason why I like my job, because it's a space for me to be myself.
Express yourself.
You know, which is not always the most family friendly, agreeable person.
No, I love that on your show you really do bring on like a dynamic or an eclectic mix of different people. Like you're interviewing a porn star today?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a porn star and some vegans who say the word motherfucker every other word.
I feel like we should put them
But you
together.
go like right to the center of things. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
And you almost work backwards.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so what's wrong with porn? Like everybody watches
Yeah,
it.
so-
like, you know, I explain your process. Like, can we go there?
Yeah.
Can you explain your process with interviewing people that it might be like sensitive content or how you approach that?
Basically, I describe my show as an audio freak show. Like it is a self-help show, but like I'm not bringing on experts unless they're like weird, different, cool experts. Like the way that I thought about it is when we're all sitting around with our friends, right, we ask each other for advice about life's difficult questions. And life's difficult questions are like, how do I give a good blowjob?
Right.
And like, how do I not take so many pills? How do I not date so many guys at the same time? How do I not drink so much? I don't want somebody who's like old and sitting in like a hospital room, not as a patient, as a doctor, to like tell me how I should be living my life. Like if I want a blowjob piece of advice, I'm going to go to like a porn star. Or like if I want to learn how to like make a lot of money and like be entrepreneurial, I'm going to ask strippers, which I did in the first episode of my show. But for me, it was like, I don't know why people were shying away from who the true experts were. And the true experts are people who get up every morning and try and fail and fuck up and like get ostracized by society for not playing by the rules. Because people who play by the rules are not experiencing life to the fullest. So how are they supposed to give you good advice? But to answer your question, I like focusing on what someone is doing in the present and not what they've done in the past. So I've had a lot of people on my show where I will actually say to them, like, I want to just bypass your story of like, why did you decide to do this? Or like, how did you get to this place? And like, let's talk about what your life currently looks like. And then from there, it kind of branches off into different topics. But I also research the shit out of my guests. So like, I'm reading old interviews. If they're porn stars, I'm watching their films on my incognito browser. You know, if they're artists, like I try to go and see their work. Like I really want to be well versed in who they are so that I can ask them specific questions. Because if I have a comedian on the show, but like all I know of them is their Netflix special, how are we going to have a conversation that's different from the 9,000 other conversations that they've had when they've gone on shows, you know?
I accidentally went out with a porn star.
Why accidentally?
Well, I didn't know he was a porn star until he showed up and wanted me to watch his porn.
Wait, he on your first date, he asked you to watch his work?
Well,
wait, hold on.
Okay, so, well, how did the conversation come up? So he showed up. He came over to my place because I invited him over for wine because we'd been talking for a while. And then he came over and he brought his laptop with him, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird. Like, do you have work?" That's what I thought. I was like, "Do you have homework to do? Like, do you have a presentation to prepare for tomorrow?" And he's just like, "No, I brought it so like we could watch porn." I'm like, first of all, offensive that you don't think I can afford my own porn in my own
or your own
apartment
computer,
or my own
like,
computer
I
or
have
television.
all the subscriptions,
Right.
bitch.
Like, what?
And then he was like, I brought it so we can watch porn. And so I was like, are you that into porn that like he's like, it's the only thing that like gets me going. I'm like, well, who said we were going anywhere?
Right,
first of all,
I invited you over for a rosé.
Yeah.
Also, like, that's revealing a lot in like 10 minutes. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so you have to watch porn to get hard? Like, I'm confused.
And I was like, okay.
A lot of people have to, but like, why are we jumping off?
I was like,
this?
right
I was like,
away,
let's start a little slower. I was like, well, how was your day? And he's just like, well, it's been rough. You know, like my neighbor just got like murdered last night. And I was like, whoa, like this guy was like not stable. But anyway, so the porn came up because I was like, oh, so you like to watch a lot of porn? And he's like, yeah. I was like, so I was joking. I was like, would you ever do porn? And he's just like, I have. You want to see it? And I was like, what? He's like, it's been a while. And then he showed me his porn and we sat there and watched his porn when he was 19 years old.
Was he a good performer?
No.
Okay,
and he said that he only did
it. Was it gay porn? Was it?
And he
like, okay.
and he said that he only did it like for the money and like that it wasn't that great. And then we're watching the porn and it's like awkward and I'm just like, oh wow, you do all that in bed? And he's like, no, they just paid us more the more we did. And I was like, why are we watching this? It was not.
So like nobody even got aroused and like nothing ended.
No, and then he couldn't. And then I was like, okay, well then why don't we just do this? And then he couldn't get it up. And he's like, wait, I have a dealer that I can call. They can get me some Viagra, but it'll take him 45 minutes.
No.
And I was like,
wait, what?
you need to go. It was just not.
Listen,
a great
I'm gonna
date.
contradict
And a
myself
dealer
because I'm
for
a human.
A dealer for Viagra. Yeah.
We need to cancel him.
Yeah.
Okay, he
What?
deserves a hashtag cancel.
Weird. That's weird.
That is. That's sad.
Thank you for saying my dating life is sad.
No, I didn't say you were sad.
The situation. He was sad, and you were stuck in that
the
situation.
was sad. It's not your fault. You didn't know.
Have you ever been on like a really bad date?
I'm a little sick in the head, so like I don't see such a thing as a bad date. 'Cause it's
Entertaining
always a
date?
good story.
Yeah, it's always a great story.
Do it for the story. That's what I always say.
All right, guys, we're going to take a very quick break to talk to you about our pals at Hum Nutrition. You know how much we love Hum Nutrition.
We love them.
Love
They're
Hum.
even in our building.
They're even in our building
That's
that we
how
tape
much.
this
We're
at.
stalking them.
We're stalking them. We went to their Hum HQ and we
Yep.
like stocked up
So
on our
cute.
vitamins, which are so yummy. I love the Hair Sweet Hair gummies.
Yep.
Obsessed with the Hair Sweet Hair gummies. I take them all the time. They
They work. Look how fast your hair's going.
Yeah, look at that. I even posted on my Instagram that has a whole video that you can see like how fast my hair grew and how big and bellowy it is.
It is. It's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
nice and fluffy.
We love it. We have glow sweet. I'm a sucker for gummies, so I love
You are,
hair
yeah.
sweet hair, and
Yeah.
I love glow sweet.
I
Glow.
do love the gummies. I take them every morning. I mean, we'll see. I just chopped it, so
I like
it's
the little bomb on you,
healthy.
though.
And the Flatter Me, love.
Oh, the Flatter Me enzymes. Yeah,
Yes.
they're so
I
great.
take that with my 2 meals a day.
I love that they have such a variety of different supplements that
Yeah.
you can take, but yet they're all focused on like this beauty from within to like make you
100%.
look good and feel good from the inside
100%.
out.
And with all the fires we've been having, the detox one
Oh,
I've been taking,
yes,
and that's
daily
really been helping.
cleanse.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Yeah. They have a whole plethora of vitamins that you're going to love. So you're going to want to go and check them out. Go to humnutrition.com. And if you want 20% off, you can use code adulting because that's what you're going to be doing when you're checking out Hum Nutrition.
Right?
Adulting.
Take your vitamins. Be an adult.
Be an adult. Take your vitamins. Look cute doing so too.
Exactly.
And their branding is like super,
Their branding's
super
bomb.
friggin' dope.
Yep.
Yeah, go to humnutrition.com and use code adulting for that 20% off right now.
Weird people are like naturally very attracted to me, even via dating apps where you can like really just see my pictures. Like energetically, I think I just like give something off, which is great for my work life.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I'm trying to just like meet my type of guy who like is not in the entertainment industry, is like a lawyer or a doctor, like an accountant, or like crunches numbers, someone who just wants to like sit on their ass and watch football, like that's hot to me because my life
Okay.
is so
weird.
weird.
Right.
You know that
you,
like
you want a constant.
exactly.
Yeah.
I want like a little bit of like a daddy figure,
Yeah.
you know, and like that's so not going to be the type of person who like would be a good guest on my show, which it sounds like your failed porn star would have been a great guest.
I'll
for me.
introduce you to him.
Please
I'll give
do,
you his
honestly.
number.
Pawn him off to me. So, you know, I've gone out on a lot of dates through apps, especially where it's like, I'm disappointed by the fact that it's not good, but it's a really good story.
Yeah.
Or like I end up staying in touch with this person to like be friends with them. But for me, the people that I've met that have really meant something, it's always in person. It's
Same.
always when I'm not expecting it, when I have no makeup on, when I'm wearing sweatpants, and when like I don't feel like I'm giving off vibes of actually wanting to like meet and talk to somebody. That's always when I meet people that I like love, you know, or at least like become like infatuated with for more than like a couple weeks. The app thing has really never worked
It's not.
out for
What
me.
apps are you using?
Right now, none.
None,
I've like
okay.
given them up.
You
I'm
did.
clean.
Okay,
I should
okay.
have. You guys should
How
run me a
many days?
tip. I think I've been off the apps for like a month now.
Okay.
But before that, it was like stop and start and stop and start.
That's
and
how
even
I
like on
am.
Instagram last year, I was publicly like, I'm not on any apps anymore. But then you get lonely and you're like, you know, I want to see what's out there. So this time around, it's been a month, but like I'm definitely not going back. And I was using Raya and Tinder actually because
See, I haven't re-downloaded. I'm on Raya right now, and
yeah,
like, let me.
it's garbage.
It's horrible.
Garbage.
Yeah,
I'm not a
exactly.
fan. It was really good when it like first came out,
Yeah.
and it was actually like a little bit more. I hate to see this word, but like exclusive.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm like looking at some people. I'm like, you probably make like $30,000 a year.
Yeah,
Like,
but
how
also,
are you-
like,
but like,
Don't
and
call
I'm
yourself
sorry-
a creative
right.
director. You're not a
Right,
creative
you're
director. And we
not.
know you're not a creative
What are
director.
you
So cut that
doing?
shit out.
Right.
He's a creative director of his YouTube channel that has 15 subscribers.
Yes. Exactly. Exactly.
Horrible.
Well said.
Thank you.
But
Thanks, Zack.
I always like Tinder over Hinge because I found Hinge to be like a little vanilla. You know, like not even obviously like I like a more vanilla dude, but
Yeah.
like on Hinge it's like especially in New York, everyone works on Wall Street. Everyone works in lives in Murray
Is that
Hill.
not your vibe?
It is, but like I also want someone who's got like enough of like an individual personality. I want someone with
Sure.
like a more vanilla lifestyle than me, but
with
like
a personality.
we got to be able
Yeah.
to talk shit. Like
Yeah.
we got to be able to banter, and like I just don't like the fact that someone can like make a manicured profile for themselves and like
What's the
you know.
what is the dating like in New York? I always wonder that because like I feel like I'm out of the loop. Like I'm so in touch with what's going on in LA, which is horrible.
There's definitely more options in New York
Okay.
than there are in LA. I also think that the nice thing about New York is that it's such a big city, like with all the boroughs, that like if you're not finding what you're looking for in Manhattan, go to Brooklyn and you get like a whole different city. If you're not
Okay.
finding what you're looking for in Brooklyn, go to Queens, you know?
Yeah.
And also like there's so many subcultures. I feel like in LA it's either like you're famous or you're fame adjacent
Yeah.
or you don't work in the entertainment industry. And, you know, most people in LA who are trying to date are like in entertainment in some way.
Right.
In New York, like we have finance, we have business, we have tech, we have entertainment, we have like you just need to go.
There's so much more.
You need to know what your type is in New York. That's the
Okay.
best advice that I would
Okay.
give anybody. Don't run around like a chicken with your head cut off because like it's not going to work out. But you need to know what your type is, and then you need to go not where you want to go, but where your type would go. Yeah, because a lot of people in New York are dating a lot of people at the same time. That's
okay, so that's a thing.
The dating culture in New York is, I like it. I like guys.
It's
I like New
snooty.
York
Yeah.
guys. Yeah, there was a guy that I hooked up with from New York, and he like does like market, or he's like a head of marketing at Banana Republic, and I'm like, damn, I need to hit him up again so we can get Banana Republic to sponsor this show.
Right.
See, that's how I network. I just sleep with them.
You're progressive, and I like that. You're doing things the way that they should be
He's like
done.
that, and I'm like,
But
wait,
go to
I've
New York
never
and
dated
like
two
date.
people at
Well,
one time.
the thing is, in LA, you go out to
Yeah.
like you go out somewhere and like everyone's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Everyone's a
And
twat.
and
Nobody
everyone's trying to
is
see
so
who's
important.
cooler,
Yeah,
or-
everyone's so important
yeah.
to themselves. Whereas in New York, like there's
No
none
one
of that
cares.
bullshit.
Also, no one
Yeah.
puts on makeup to go out in New York. Like, what's cool to wear when you're going out if you're a girl is
Yeah.
like a vintage band tee and some like ripped up like jeans, a pair of sneakers, and like it's cool in New York to look like you didn't try. That's like the
Okay.
definition of like
But in
style
LA, it's like
here.
look like you didn't try,
Right.
but you actually spent
In
like 30
LA,
minutes.
Way
like
too much.
I'm like heinous because I don't know how to contour. You know, like people are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Like I don't own like a single bodycon dress, and people are like, "You're like fucking up," and I'm like, I don't know how to like. I'm definitely not a perfect person, but like I don't know how to not be myself. And like I've just come to realize that it's for better or for worse.
take it or leave it. Right.
So yeah, I think that you're right. The problem with LA is not only that people like really have a stick up their ass and like try really hard, but it's a destination to date somebody because like you have to drive.
Yeah.
So it's like we're gonna meet at this place at this time. Either you're driving or you need to get an Uber. It's like such a
Yeah.
production.
In
Whereas
New York, you can walk.
someone can hit me up
yeah.
and be like, "What are you doing in 15 minutes?" I've done this before, and I'm like, "Cool, let's go to the bar down the street."
Those
Off
are
we
the
go.
best kinds of dates.
Yeah, because you don't have time to plan.
Yeah. And overthink it and like complicate everything. Yeah, that's what it
We
is.
need to go- I need
It's
to go
such
to
a
New York real
production.
quick.
Yeah, well, we're gonna
Well,
plan a trip
you
to New York.
We're gonna
you
do
have a
that.
reason to go to New
Yeah,
York
I
soon,
do.
so I think you
I
should take
do.
advantage of that,
Yeah.
and we can go out
Let's
and
link
be
and-
horny.
Yeah, perfect.
What advice would you give somebody maybe in like their early 20s that's like just starting to get to know themselves and trying to date, but maybe, I mean, because I feel like when you're in your early 20s, like you think you know what you want, but you don't. How do you figure out like what you're interested in, or how did you figure out like what you were interested in romantically and sexually at that age?
I went through puberty really early, like really early. Like I was always very tall, but also like had huge tits and like an ass by the time that I was like 11, 12.
Wow.
So like, yeah, I mean, all of my
That
like
is some GMO.
Right. Exactly. Like, what did my parents do to me? Like, I remember my mom shopping
Some
at Whole Foods
Tyson
before it was
chicken.
cool. Like, why did this
Right, you're
happen?
like, Mom.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow, okay.
So, I mean, very like traumatic in its own way, but
Sure.
like
Yeah.
I discovered sex and just like sexual feelings really early. So I like had a weird experience because my first serious boyfriend was my best friend for 6 years. And then we just like organically started
Sure,
dating when
okay.
we were both juniors in high school. Because I was so comfortable with him, because I knew him so well, and because like I kind of weirdly like knew my body at that point,
Yeah.
our sex life popped off. Like when I look back on, I know
Really?
it's weird, but it's like when I look back at all the sex that I've had in my life, some of the best sex I ever had was between the ages of 17 and 20 with my first boyfriend who
Wow.
I lost my virginity to.
Wow.
Because we were just like homies and I was
Yeah.
not embarrassed, and like
Yeah.
he made me
There
feel
was
like
no
beautiful. And like
filter
the
with it,
key to
yeah.
good sex is to be okay with like, oh my
Right.
God, this is vulgar, but like sitting on someone's face.
Right.
That's how you're gonna not necessarily doing that, but being comfortable
Right.
enough to
do
do
it,
that.
right.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm like the wrong person to ask because in certain ways I've been trying to Benjamin Button. Like I grew up so fast because of how I looked, and plus like New York, and my parents are like business people, and
And
like
you're born and raised.
born and raised in New York, yeah, which is like all of us are like the most high functioning lunatics like you'll ever meet in your life. So now that I'm 26, I'm kind of consciously trying to like not have it all together
Sure.
so much
Sure.
and be more willing to make mistakes and like more willing to be, you know, open about the fact that like most days I don't know what I'm doing. But I would say when it comes to sexuality specifically, like comfort is the number one thing. So you can't rely on someone else to make you feel comfortable with your body. Like you need to figure out what's going to make you feel comfortable, whether that's going to the gym or a spray tan or like therapy and talking about why you don't like yourself, or maybe you'll only have sex doggy style because you like your ass and that's your best feature. Cool, that's okay. Do that. But I think that the problem that women have a lot is that we depend on men to make us feel sexy, but they're not mind readers. So they can't do that for you unless you're open about yourself.
That's really good advice.
Do you have any advice?
Preach.
Yeah, can you tell me what's going on in your head?
Oh, I don't know. I've had like the least amount of sex I've ever had in my life.
It's
Like,
good
Currently?
for your spirit. It's good for your
it
spirit.
is like
It's
I'm
really
like
good.
so together as
Yeah.
like a human, like as me.
Your
like,
vibe is really good right now.
Oh,
I'm
thank
like
you.
I'm
Are
like
you a vibey person?
I am a vibey person. I know nothing about like crystals or like horoscopes or whatever, but like I'm around so many people constantly
Right.
that it's like I read energies, boom, right away, and
Yeah.
you're just like, you are who you are right
Thanks,
now,
girl.
It's good.
I
It
love
took a
her
minute to
because
get
she has
there.
such a good vibe. Like for me, like I feel like people think that I'm such a twat when they meet me because like I'm not as like friendly and I'm not as like open like when I first meet people.
Yeah.
And like especially like when people come into the studio, Abigail's like, "Hi, what do you need? Can I get
Yeah,
you some more?"
you're
And she's
great
just
with
like
that.
so like
Guys,
I'm like
I'm a
"Thank
Virgo
God."
too, so I'm very like.
I don't know what that
Well,
means, but I bet it's great.
See, I love that. Okay, good. I have a good
See,
vibe. and
but
you
I
don't
think it's
even-
because people see my videos online and they think that I'm just like so much more personable and sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I am a bit of a twat. I know. I own
Own
it at
But
this
like,
point.
no, in the best way though. It like makes me so happy. Because you're saying like everything I'm thinking, and like sometimes like give me a drink and I'll probably say it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually having the least amount of sex I've ever had in my life. Well, not in my life, but
working.
like since I started having
It's
sex.
working.
Yeah, I really. But so now I'm like at this point where I like I don't just want to fuck anybody.
Oh,
if that
yeah.
makes sense. Where it's like
Yes.
it's not like like let me tell you, the vibrators out there are wild. Like they're great.
Yeah.
So I'm okay. But like
Yes.
that's the thing is like now I'm like it's gonna take a really special human for me to be like, yeah, let's fuck.
For me to put down my vibrator.
yeah, like
Yeah.
no, and that
No, it's
too. I'm like
true.
we have because honestly, it's better with a vibrator if you're
Yeah.
not like in tune with somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm
No,
at
but
right
listen, I think
now.
that's great.
I'm on the apps, but like I'm not. I've gone on like 3 dates. From
Yeah.
them, and they've all been horrible.
Yeah.
So it's just I don't know. I feel like if it's meant to be, it'll be. It'll happen. And like I'm
Exactly.
leaving my house. It's not like I'm like.
Right,
If it's meant to
rotting.
be, it'll happen. But I'm stuck here. But like I'm out and I'm about, and hopefully I'll.
It just
run
happens in
into
the universe
someone,
that when
yeah.
you're not looking for it, it
Yeah.
finds you.
There's
And
so many
also like
insecure people in LA.
yes, I mean there's so many insecure people
Everywhere.
In the world.
everywhere,
Yeah.
especially with social media culture. But I
Yeah.
find that like the hottest thing about a woman is somebody who likes herself, because women
Yeah.
don't like themselves for the
Right.
most part and are
Right.
constantly looking for external validation. I'm on the same tip as you. Like I'm, casual sex is fun, but it's like I want to be viscerally attracted to someone when
Yes.
I meet them.
Yes.
And if I meet someone and I'm not immediately like I want to jump your bones,
Then I'm not
it's
going
not
to- right,
happening. I'm
right.
not into it.
And there's periods of time like I went through that whole casual sex phase. And maybe who knows? Maybe I'll go through that again.
Right,
But
right.
like right now at this moment, I feel you with that. I'm like, no, it needs to be something you feel.
Yeah.
And that
Yeah.
you
I
can
think-
like work on.
And the break is healthy. I know I
Yeah.
took 30 days off, no sex, no dating, no apps.
okay.
And I realized that like I was using it like when you check Instagram and you keep
Yes.
refreshing, you keep refreshing.
Yeah.
Like I was using it as a way to like because this is the first year I've ever lived by myself.
Okay.
So
You get
I was
lonely. It's
using
hard
it
to
as
live
a
by
way
yourself
to like
originally, yeah.
not deal with emotions
Yeah.
or shit that was coming up for myself that I was like, I don't want to deal with this. So I'm just gonna like see if somebody will go on a date with me this weekend.
Which
that
is
way I'm not
common.
yeah.
It's really
And
common.
people don't realize that like we neglect our own needs and hope that like by
Someone will fill
somebody
you,
else will
your
fill
void
that.
or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So-
great that you were able to realize that, because like a lot of people don't. That's the thing, is that like I have friends who like I think the world of, but have like the least healthy habits ever when it
Yes.
comes to
And then
dating
they keep
and sex.
telling you the same thing
over and
Same
over and
story.
over.
And then
And
I'm
I
like-
look at them and like I don't bite my tongue, so I'm like, why the fuck haven't you gone to therapy?
Right.
I don't know what else I can say to you at this point. I have no more advice for you, and I don't want to hear about this anymore. Like you have to go to therapy.
I can't, yeah, and because then it like brings me down. I'm like, I don't want
Yeah.
to hear about the same shit that I've been telling you. Like, here's what you got to do to fix it. You don't want to fix it.
Yeah. It's painful
It's-
though.
it's-
Like
yeah, it's
facing
rough.
inside it is.
Yep.
It's painful. Like I understand why people are spending their money on retinol and why people are going on the apps. Like I get it. It sucks, but it's
Yeah.
like I would rather look back on my life and be like, okay, my early mid-20s were messy, but I figured my shit out so that I was able to go on and have a life.
Right.
People who don't face into that stuff during the time in your life that's supposed to be messy and like
Right.
supposed to, you're not supposed to have the answers to anything. Like I don't get it,
Yeah,
like
it's hard
yeah.
with social media because then everybody like sees that perfection. It's that cliche quote of like everybody, you see the highlight reel and you don't see all the behind the scenes. So everybody thinks that they have to live up to that expectation, and nobody's getting back to just like being messy again.
And like, figure yourself out. Life's rough enough not knowing yourself. Like, life's shitty.
Take
It could be
yourself on a
shitty.
date. Like,
yeah.
get to know
Yes.
you.
I
Get
actually
the
never-
vibrator and like.
Listen, I can let you guys know. But yeah, it's true though. I never
from Adam and Eve.
Right? Well, being alone used to be like my worst fear, and like it kind of still is. And I mean, I think part of that is just like ongoing like adjustment disorder. Like I was in the theater my entire life, and then I left school and decided like I'm gonna make my own work. And it's been a huge driving force in like why I'm so obsessed with my show, because it's an excuse to meet people and hang out with people. I become friends with a lot of them, and I have a lot of friends in a lot of places now, but like I'm very uncomfortable like existing with myself when the lights are out and I'm not on a soundstage and it's just like me alone like in my house. And like a lot of my personal interests are very like analog. I read and like listen to like the radio and like go to the theater. I like really operate like an old Jew in New York, and it took me a long time to not freak out when I wasn't being like externally stimulated. But I've been single now for the past 2.25 years, and that's really been like a conscious choice, because I was like, I don't want to get into another relationship or even situation again when I don't know myself and I'm not rooted and I'm not grounded, because it led me to the wrong people over and over and over again. And like we had adventures and we had fun and we had really good sex, but like it was dysfunctional. And so I had like a couple of things like a couple months ago that it felt like I was on the stepping stones to where I needed to go. I was like, cool, none of these people have drug abuse problems. Like I'm doing something right. But, it's been a couple months since then. And now I'm like, all right, like if I'm being honest with myself, this is the first time in my life where I'm like, I would actually make a good girlfriend now. Like I would, because I'm not so stuck in my own head with my own shit. Like I would actually make a good girlfriend.
And be two individuals. Like I hate when they're like, you guys become one. Like, no, you
like,
don't.
No,
you still need to be two separate people that can coexist.
Exactly. Like I want you to spoon the shit out of me, but I also want you to like leave me alone sometimes. And like, don't steal my thunder. Like this is my persona. Go make your own.
Exactly.
But I would not have been able to get to this point had I not spent so much time with myself, like so much time, and like uncomfortable, lonely, sad time. But had I not faced into that and asked myself like, Ali, what is going to make you okay with this? I never would have come out on the other side being like, okay, like I'm ready to not be like a narcissist anymore. And like, I'd like a daddy figure who's going to be like calm and stable, but like, I don't actually need someone to take care of me. Because I finally know how to do that myself.
Oh,
I love that.
That's so great. That was
Your
really
words of
good.
wisdom. Yes, thank you.
So we like to close out every conversation with our 3 biggest takeaways from what we just discussed. So I think you can kick it off, Abigail.
I'll go first. So I think that learning, well, my takeaway is what you dissecting difficult things or not even difficult, but not publicly acceptable conversations. It's a lot easier with humor.
It is.
Also, the whole point of being comfortable with yourself and being able to function better alone and then with somebody else, I think is a large takeaway. And then you're just fucking great. Like you're just easy. Like this has just been such a lovely conversation.
You guys are such good conversationalists.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it.
Okay, my 3 biggest takeaways are: 1, invest in a vibrator.
Yes.
Or a sex toy
Yes,
if you
100%.
don't always need a vibrator. 2, if a guy shows up with a laptop, swipe left.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
Swipe left. And 3, it's okay to explore and be messy in your 20s. And more than it being okay, I think the conversation we're having right now is about it being okay, but it's also important and necessary to like be reckless. I think that was one of the best things like my mom ever told me when I was like a teenager. She's like, go out there and break people's hearts and get your heart broken. She's like, just be messy and like you will bounce back from it. At the time, I'm like, what a bitch. You want me to break people's hearts? But now I get it, you know? And it's like important for you to like go in the mud, because I was always so afraid of getting messy.
Yeah, or dirty.
Whatever. Yeah, and I think you just have to jump right in.
I love that.
What are your 3 takeaways?
Okay, my 3 biggest takeaways. First, age really isn't anything but a number. Like, I think that's a really big thing. And like, I know that you're like complaining about like, oh, you just like hit 30, but like, first of all, I mean, you look amazing, which is like, it's LA, everyone cares about that stuff. You look amazing.
Hashtag Dr.
You know, right? But
plug.
Yeah, go plug your business. But I also think that like women especially put so much pressure on themselves. Like when I'm 30, I want this, or like when I get to my 30s, like I hope that I have this figured out. Like I want to be in a relationship. And it's like I said, like your energy is excellent. And like, even from the moment I walked in the room, like, you are somebody who seems grounded in themselves, and like whatever you're doing is working. And like, to me, it's okay that you're like, oh, I'm 30 and I'm single. Who cares? Because like, you're clearly doing what's right for you. And like, you know, on the flip side of that, like, I feel ancient and I'm 26, so I'm trying to like unlearn a lot of this stuff. Yeah. So I think that's important. Secondly, sucking dick to get ahead in life. I think it's something. Listen, women have been doing that since the beginning of time, since ancient times. The fact that you are out and proud about it, I'm like, this is, you know what? I am following suit. I think that that's really important.
She's like, you're a businesswoman. You're so confident. And she's like, and you suck dick to get ahead. Hey,
that's why we're great.
I consider myself somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the gray area of those two.
You know what? I get discounts and I'm cool with that.
For the discount.
And then the third thing, I don't know, kind of going off of that, like I think being open to people with different personalities and different worldviews than you. I think that like everyone's always asking like, how are we going to achieve world peace? Like, I think humor is extremely important, but with that is like, we've got to be open-minded. Like, a lot of millennials think that they're open-minded because they're okay with their friends being trans, but like, they're actually not, because they're so quick to be like, oh, you're a Republican, go die.
Right.
Ask the person what led them to having that political view. You know, like the violent words need to stop just as much as the violent actions. And so I think that even like watching the two of you with differing personalities like co-host this show and have it be so fun, like I think our generation really needs to be more open-minded with just like taking people as they are, or engaging in dialogue with them to maybe help them shift in a positive
or to even just
direction.
Understand them.
Right.
That was lovely.
I love it. Where can people follow you?
What?
On the social medias, where can they follow you?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, we're going to follow you. I was like, oh, I earned your trust. Great. Thanks, guys. Awesome.
It just took one interview.
Follow you.
Sorry, hold on 1 second. I'm going to go and do this now. Everyone can follow me on Instagram at healthishell. And that's where they can also, well, I mean, on podcasting platforms, but that's where you can find like promo stuff for my podcast, which is like my heart, my soul, my baby. I'm obsessed with it. It's also called Health is Hell. I have a show called Open Session on Vice.
Love it.
And some of my inappropriate articles that I've written for Playboy can also be found on their website. But you know, the nucleus of what I do is definitely the podcast. So come join the freak show. We have a good time.
I love it. You can follow me at Just Plain Zack.
And you can follow me at Abigail _AF.
And don't forget to follow at The Adulting Podcast for all the latest show news and all our behind-the-scenes cute Instagram stories. Without filters. Sometimes with filters.
Sometimes filters. Sometimes with filters.
Most times with filters.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys. This was
Thank
so fun.
you for coming on. Everybody, don't forget to subscribe and listen to #Adulting. New episodes every Tuesday, right, Abigail?
Yes, sir.
All right, until next time, we're going to be busy.
#Adulting.
And we're out.